Welcome to Session 4, Marketing Plan. In this session, we will discuss the definition of marketing plan, the marketing plan process, and of course, how to design your own highly effective marketing plan. Is a marketing plan. So, you have got this product or service, you want people to know about it in the most effective way and at the lowest cost. So you need a marketing plan. A marketing plan is a written document that outlines in great detail what the organization hopes to accomplish by following the plan. The plan should have specific strategies that will be implemented and should help the organization achieve its goals. Here is a simple step to helping you to achieve a highly effective marketing plan for your business. And this step-by-step marketing plan that has been designed for you will form largely what your marketing plan process would evolve. So we'll start with the first step, a desired result. Clearly define the results you want to achieve as clear as possible in your mind. Then write it down on a piece of paper. It sounds simple? Why not give it a try? I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about it. You can easily have an ineffective marketing plan when you have more than one desired result. So here are 3 main points for this first step. It must be something worthwhile for you. It definitely has to be something worthwhile for you and your business. It must be a single desired result. When you are focusing on too many desired results, there is that chance of conflict and confusion, and thereby you will not be able to achieve any result. And finally, it must have great clarity and be very easily understood. Everyone working with you in your team must understand it, and it must be easy for them to also assimilate that information for the results that you have a desire for. So I'm going to give you an example. The example helps us to really bring having a desired result together. So, a brand new company which supplies high quality beverages, primarily coffee, to offices. The desired result for them is to be the beverage supplier to 5,000 clients within 12 months. You see how clear this is? They know the exact number of clients they wish to acquire, and they also have put a time frame into achieving it. Now let's go to step 2. What is it worth? After you have clearly defined the outcome, which is your desired result, you need to calculate what it's worth. Now the key points here include the following. Work out what your desired result in step 1 is what. Make sure you identify the profit or contributions as well as the turnover. Depending on the time scale for your desired result, you may like to identify the value in the short term, medium term, and long term. So let me give you an example here for step 2. Softcup treats every employee as a client. So 5,000 clients spending 500 naira a week on orange juice and other beverages equals 130 million. Now, if Red Cup works on a gross of 40% margin, this is prior to their overheads, interest, and tax, this leaves them with a profit of 52 million. Now, you see how important it is for you to calculate clearly what this is worth for you. It clearly helps you to understand what you will get for sticking to the plan of your desired result. Now, let's go to step 3. What are your consequences? Think really hard about all the consequences your plan might have before you start it. This is where you identify all upsides, not just financial, but all the good stuff, and include the downsides. the biggest consequence of not achieving the desired result would be the sense of frustration at having missed an opportunity. So let me state the key points in step 3. Identify the upsides and possible downsides of your marketing plan. Spell out what might happen if you don't pursue your desired result. That is, you do nothing. Be realistic and honest. It will help persuade doubters that you've considered all consequences. Now, if you go ahead with your marketing plan and you stick to it, you will be able to enjoy some positives. And these positives include growth in the business, able to track your profit, security for the business, and more importantly, you would have proved the concept. The negatives are that you would lose money, you will let your team down, you might struggle with a reputation of failure, and you would have missed a golden opportunity. Now to step 4, targets. Who are you after? Who will be buying your product or service? Or significantly, influence the buyer. You need to know and you need to be right. Many companies just don't know who they are targeting or don't know enough about them. You can't know too much. It doesn't exist. You must know your customers. Now, the key points in step 4 include the following. List out all your targets. Be as specific as possible. Describe what these people like and don't like. Paint a clear picture. Your end market might not be the people you need to get to. Often, it's key influencers who will communicate your message more effectively. Thinking always precedes doing. So, understand what you want your targets to think. And then, of course, what you want them to do thereafter, which is to buy from you. Let's go straight to step 5. What's the big story? Have you ever heard the story of the elevator pitch? I'll share it with you. Sometime back in the late 80s and the early 90s in the US, there was a big boom in the market, in the stock market, the Wall Street as it's popularly known. Many startups who were looking to make a big break would go to those places, those skyscrapers where you had the big investors. The investors would typically be happy to invest if they like your idea. But there was a problem. So the investors typically have their offices in the penthouses of the skyscrapers in the Wall Street. Now, these startups would go and wait by the elevator. And while they wait and see the investors coming, they typically will run and join them in the elevators. It typically takes about 60 seconds to get to the top of the high-rise buildings. Within that 60 seconds, the startup had the opportunity to pitch their business idea to that investor. If you found yourself in that position, what would you say? How would you start your presentation? What would you particularly emphasize? Which of your product or service features and benefits would you amplify? If you can't describe compellingly your business to an audience of one person, how on earth can you expect a group, possibly of thousands or millions, to understand or be interested in your advertisement or other communication? Your one big thing should be 10 seconds or less. You must have your one big thing ready in your pocket and ready to unleash it. So the key points in step 5 include the following. State in as few words as possible what it is your products or services actually do. Cut out all of the peripheral stuff. Nothing fancy. Hit the nail on the head. Keep focused on the meat and potato of your offer. Summarize in 10 seconds or less what you do in a compelling way. This sounds like a good game for us to play. You want to give this a try? I'm going to give you 10 seconds to come up with your own one big thing. Are you ready? Let's give it a try. Rather than tell the whole story, create a statement that leaves your audience wanting more. Make sure that this message comes across in all communication consistently. Now let's go to step 6. What is the benefit of that? Now, you must realize that your one big thing is actually your customers' one big thing. Customers create brands, companies provide the framework and the continuous development. Think about some of the biggest brands out there today. It is us, the customers, that made them. Coca-Cola jumps to my mind right away. Remember in our prior session when we talked about Coca-Cola and how they gave us the opportunity to put our names on the Coke bottles. After a while, Coke even started producing blank ones, and we took control and we could put names and create fun out of this. And this is how an example of how brands or big companies give us the framework and we continue to grow it for them. So your one big thing should be motivating to customers on both a rational and an emotional level. So the key points in step 6 include the following. 1. Things which benefit you might not always benefit your customer. Secondly, check that your 10-second sell has real benefit for your customer. Now let's go to step 7. Know yourself. So far, we have addressed a lot of what you want, what your products or services you offer, what the one big thing you have is, what benefits this is to your customers. Now, look at your company's personality. Who are you? Some are traditional, some are solid and safe, cool and trendy. The most important thing is that your company personality must appeal to your main target audience, and it has to be consistent. It is easier for you to change the profile of your company to suit your target audience than for you to change your customers. Your customers remain your customers. So it's important that you ensure that you are honest and sincere with your brand, that you're honest with the personality which you want your customers to perceive, and use that to target them. So the key points in step 7 include the following. Every company has a personality. What's yours? Your personality needs to appeal to your target audience. If it doesn't, then change your personality. It's easier than changing the customers. Make sure that your personality is consistent and comes across in all communication. Now, let's play a little game. If you were an airline, what airline would you like to be? I bet some of you chose some of the top airlines. Now, why did you choose those airlines? Some of the questions that I typically get when I ask these questions are that they are creative, they are clean, are timely, they are customer friendly. Now, these are attributes of that airline. If we ask your customers about you today, what would they be saying? We can be more deliberate about what they say by building that personality. Now, let's go to step 8. How will you speak to your targets? Many people ignore all other steps and come right here. There's the opportunity for you to speak to them through TV advertising, through cinemas, radio. There are all kinds of opportunities that you can use to speak to your target audience, using posters, using newspapers, magazine, sponsorships where there are associations with sports for those that are into sports. The internet is even a very powerful tool, and we've discussed this extensively in a whole session. So let's go straight to the key points of your targets and choosing the right communication medium for reaching them. So the key points here are, there are lots of communication options available to you. You need to understand what is and isn't possible from each type of communication medium. choose very carefully the most relevant and cost effective. Now let's go to step 9. How much? Now, oftentimes, this is something that many business owners or entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs typically forget to do. What's your budget? How much are you willing to spend? If you compare this with the numbers written in step 2, is it realistic? It needs to be realistic. Compare this also with your choices in step 8. How do you want to speak to your audience? Is it through TV, radio, social media? Whatever the case is, it needs to be realistic. If not, then some rethinking needs to be done. What percentage of revenue should be invested in marketing? Lord Leverhulme, the English industrialist and philanthropist who set up Unilever, said half the money I spent on advertising is wasted. And the trouble is, I don't know which half. And the point here is really, there is no formula or arithmetic formula or business template for determining how much of your revenue should go into marketing. Your marketing is determined by the activities which you have set out to achieve. Now, the key point in this step is for you to always have a marketing budget. Set the budget in advance and expect to spend it. You must also importantly let the key people know the budget so they can know the limits of communication choices and the strategy. This brings us to step 10, measure it. How will you know that your marketing plan is on track? How will you measure it? Many plans fail to do this. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. How will you measure your marketing investment? The most obvious measurement is sales. Most people do measure this in fairness. But the problem around measuring whether or not you've hit your sales targets is that you would have lost a lot. The sales measurement should be detailed with factors like the product line, the territory, the time period, individual performances. But sincerely, as I was saying, this is not enough. How you measure is largely determined by the type of business you have and the sector. There are extremely enormous numbers of brilliant feedback and measurement tools. One of the very few constants in life is change. So, the key points here include the following. Measure your return on marketing by identifying upfront the things to measure. Sometimes it's the less obvious indicators which are the most effective. And if you rely on sales figures or income alone, your measurement might be weak and you will miss the golden goose, which is where customers are hearing about you and your product. And this is where you lose the opportunity to focus in this part. Now, the key to effective marketing plan is to keep it simple, relevant, and above free from content you don't understand. Remember, your marketing plan is an internal document, and it's very important that your team understands it as well as you do. Now, the key point in your entire marketing plan is that all plans have a start point. It's useful to identify the first few steps, particularly if the plan will take some time to implement. You will feel better about completing stages of a plan rather than waiting until it's completed. Set out the stages clearly, and then you can then bring the rest of it together to have a highly effective marketing plan. We have now come to the end of session 4, and indeed the end of the marketing management course. Now that we've completed this session, you must now be able to understand how to design an effective marketing plan for your business and create a process for your marketing activities.